Earth, in a groundbreaking revelation, scientists have unearthed what they believe to be the long-lost tomb of Genghis Khan. This tomb, concealed for centuries, contains mysterious and unsettling artifacts that raise more questions than answers. The contents of this tomb challenge our preconceptions about the great Mongol conqueror, Genghis Khan. Today, we discover the lost tomb of the great Khan. The enigma surrounding the tomb of Genghis Khan has been the subject of legends, novels, and scholarly inquiries. While factual accounts have been scarce, tales about the tomb have abounded. Genghis Khan, the Mongol conqueror who established one of the world's largest empires, was known for his military prowess. The only people that the Mongols didn't dig over were the samurais. The Mongols showed up and tried to take over Japan on several occasions, more than once, and every time, they were met with these warriors who actually knew how to fight, were sword-trained, and skilled in archery. It was believed that Genghis Khan had ordered the secrecy of his final resting place. It was rumored that anyone involved in the burial was executed to ensure the location remained hidden. Legends even suggested that rivers were diverted to flow over the tomb and wheeled horses were released to obliterate any traces of its existence. The location of the tomb has remained one of history's most tantalizing mysteries, sparking imaginations across centuries. Historians and archaeologists found themselves torn between respecting local traditions and satisfying global curiosity. In Mongolia, Genghis Khan is not just a historical figure but also a national hero and spiritual icon. Mongolia has traditionally regarded disturbing the Khan's resting place as a potential source of calamities, making it forbidden territory both culturally and literally. The Mongols had a lot of things going for them. They had strategy. First of all, they had devious, wild strategies. They would set people up, sending a small party out and luring enemies into chasing them down into a canyon filled with Mongols, and then slaughtering everyone while blocking the exit. This tension has created a delicate balance between scientific inquiry and cultural sensitivity, shrouding the tomb's location in secrecy and taboo. Numerous attempts to locate the tomb, blending scientific expertise with local folklore, had yielded nothing but disappointment, adding complexity to the existing web of speculation. Yet despite these challenges, the allure of discovering the tomb remained potent. It transcended the mere appeal of treasure or the promise of invaluable historical artifacts. It was driven by the insatiable human desire to solve a riddle that had confounded generations. Archaeologists scoured ancient texts, scrutinized satellite images, and studied local animal migration patterns in their quest for clues. Folklore spoke of a mountain in northeastern Mongolia believed to be sacred to Genghis Khan, leading many to speculate that this mystical mountain guarded the long-sought secret. Then, guided by fate, came a groundbreaking discovery that many viewed as audacious, if not sacrilegious. In an age where technology could peer into the far reaches of the universe, it was almost inevitable that we would one day turn our gaze toward the hidden recesses of our own past. That day has arrived, and the revelation is nothing short of earth-shattering. They literally changed how many people were burning things in core samples. The carbon footprint of human beings was less while Genghis Khan was alive because he killed 1 out of 10 human beings. We can no longer rely on campfire tales or speculative videos about what might lie within Genghis Khan's tomb. We now possess tangible, incontrovertible evidence, a reality that punctures the ballooning myths that have captivated us for so long. The significance of this find cannot be overstated. For academics, it opens new avenues of research into Mongolian history, archaeology, and anthropology. For Mongolia, it represents both a cultural celebration and a complex dilemma regarding newfound international attention. For the world at large, it adds an unsettling new chapter to an old narrative that has fascinated us for centuries. There's a story about a traveler heading to China to explore trade opportunities. As he approached, he saw what he thought was a snow-capped mountain in the distance. Upon closer inspection, he realized it was a pile of bones, evidence of Genghis Khan and his warriors' brutal conquest in Jin China. Just when the world had nearly given up on locating the fabled tomb of Genghis Khan, a team of archaeologists stumbled upon an unexpected revelation. Equipped with advanced scientific instruments, the team was initially in Mongolia for a different mission, studying ancient climate patterns by examining soil sediments. Little did they anticipate that their findings would ignite international intrigue and debate. The site lay in a remote area near Burkhan-Khaldan Mountain, a location long suspected to be Genghis Khan's final resting place but never definitively proven as such. As the team began their excavation, irregularities in the soil layers piqued their curiosity. Delving deeper, they encountered not just the usual plant fragments and sediment but a man-made formation that hinted at a burial site. Recognizing the potential significance, they contacted authorities and initiated a meticulous excavation process. Cutting-edge technology played a pivotal role in this landmark discovery. Ground-penetrating radar mapped the subterranean structure. Advanced metal detectors signaled the presence of artifacts. Drones equipped with high-resolution cameras provided an aerial perspective, aiding navigation in the challenging terrain. These tools converged to unveil a burial site of incredible intricacy, befitting a leader of immense importance. Intricate carvings, symbols of power, and remnants of ceremonial offerings were scattered throughout. The defining moment came when inscriptions resembling the old Mongol script were deciphered, pointing almost conclusively to this being the tomb of Genghis Khan. As news of the discovery spread, the world held its breath, anticipating the unveiling of the tomb's contents. However, this discovery was not without its complications. Given its monumental significance to Mongolia's heritage, the Mongolian government had to be consulted at every step. As news media descended upon the site, ethical considerations arose, questioning the propriety of excavating a site so deeply intertwined with Mongolian culture and identity. Weeks turned into months as scientists, clad in specialized gear, worked tirelessly around the clock. Onlookers and local officials maintained a respectful distance. Periodic updates offered glimpses into their progress, fueling discussions and debates spanning from academic inquiries to existential ponderings. Beyond the incredible artifacts and historical documents emerging from the site, there was an ineffable sense that the discovery was unraveling unforeseen consequences. Linguists examined inscriptions. Historians scoured ancient texts. Anthropologists assessed the cultural implications as the project embraced an interdisciplinary approach. Everyone involved recognized they were part of something extraordinary, an endeavor rewriting chapters in the annals of human history. As archaeologists and researchers prepared to open what was almost certainly Genghis Khan's tomb, an atmosphere of awe and unease pervaded. The typical grandeur accompanying significant historical discoveries was conspicuously absent, replaced by apprehension. The contents of this tomb were not merely historical treasures. They were enigmatic and chilling, threatening to reshape our understanding of Genghis Khan and the era he dominated. As the seals were carefully broken, the initial items revealed were expectedly grand: gem-encrusted swords, ink scrolls resistant to time, and ornate armor showcasing the craftsmanship of the era. Yet, as the team ventured deeper, they encountered artifacts that defied explanation. Objects composed of materials seemingly more advanced than anything from the 13th century. Among them were anomalous metallurgical compositions, enigmatic gadgets with unknown purposes, and rudimentary mechanical devices. Most disconcerting of all were inscriptions and symbols on some of these artifacts, glyphs that did not correspond to any known language, etched with an uncanny precision suggestive of machinery rather than human hands. Experts from various fields could not identify their origins or meanings. In 2003, studies found that Genghis Khan's DNA is present in about 16 million men alive today. But now, the mystery deepened as DNA analysis of the tombs remains yielded inexplicable results, genetic markers distinct from any known human lineage. Was Genghis Khan part of a lost belief system, or was something even more otherworldly at play? The unsettling question loomed large. What if Genghis Khan was part of a narrative far more complex and disconcerting than anything we had ever imagined? This possibility, as fantastic as it may sound, can no longer be dismissed outright. The extraordinary findings from the tomb, both historical and possibly unearthly, demand a complete re-evaluation of not just Mongolian history but the human story itself. Scholars are now asking questions they once would have scoffed at. Were the legends about Genghis Khan more than mere myth? Could his military genius and mysterious rise to power have been aided by knowledge or influence far beyond his time? As more artifacts are analyzed, as more genetic tests are conducted, the veil slowly lifts on a secret hidden for centuries, one that might change how we see our own civilization. The story of Genghis Khan has always been compelling, filled with tales of strategy, conquest, legacy, and mystery. But with the discovery of this tomb, that story is evolving into something even more profound, possibly unsettling, certainly unprecedented, and definitively historic. As the world awaits further revelations, one truth becomes clear: the long-lost tomb of Genghis Khan was never just a burial site. It was a vault of history, a container of secrets, and perhaps a doorway to knowledge that transcends everything we thought we knew. As the excavation progressed, the emotional atmosphere surrounding the site grew heavier. Researchers, though trained to maintain objectivity, couldn't help but feel the enormity of the moment weighing down on them. The realization that they were perhaps the first humans in nearly 800 years to lay eyes on the burial place of Genghis Khan was not just a scientific milestone, it was a deeply spiritual experience. Each layer of sediment removed, each artifact uncovered, was like peeling back time itself. The sense of reverence was palpable. The tomb wasn't just a crypt, it was a shrine of legend, one that had eluded even the most advanced attempts at discovery until now. The team knew that they were touching a cornerstone of global history. It wasn't simply about unearthing physical relics, it was about confronting the myths, truths, and cultural echoes of one of the most enigmatic leaders to ever walk the earth. The inscriptions, now being analyzed in secure laboratories, hinted at ideologies, rituals, and beliefs previously unknown in Mongolian chronicles. Some passages appeared to reference celestial events, aligning Khan's death with strange lights in the sky and unusual environmental changes. Hints that perhaps the ancient Mongols themselves associated his passing with something cosmic, something divine. As the excavation revealed more of the underground chamber's layout, it became apparent that the site had been constructed with architectural knowledge far more sophisticated than previously attributed to the Mongol Empire. The walls were geometrically precise, made of composite stone and organic binding agents that hadn't degraded over time, a material composition alien to the region. Some sections were reinforced with what looked like an early version of hydraulic cement, mixed with materials that had no match in existing geological samples. These construction anomalies confounded engineers and stonemasons brought in to consult, challenging long-held beliefs about Mongol engineering. More hauntingly, a central altar-like platform was uncovered. It bore a structure reminiscent of a sarcophagus, but shaped unlike any known burial container. Embedded within it were crystals, some resembling quartz, others unidentifiable, that emitted faint electromagnetic readings. These crystals were positioned in an array that aligned precisely with constellations visible during the season of Khan's death, suggesting astronomical knowledge and intentionality behind the design. Was this coincidence, or did the Mongols possess an understanding of the heavens far beyond what historical texts suggest? Furthermore, the tomb was not isolated. Tunnels extended from the burial chamber, leading to adjacent vaults. In these secondary chambers, the team found more artifacts, shields with inscriptions written in a ciphered language, sealed boxes that emitted faint hums when disturbed, and scrolls wrapped in metallic cloths that remained intact despite centuries underground. Historians, linguists, and cryptographers began the painstaking task of interpreting these documents. Some appeared to be battle chronicles, others ritual scripts, but a few bore diagrams that resembled circuitry or alchemical symbols. Theories began to emerge. Were these objects purely symbolic, or was their knowledge encoded within that modern science had yet to decipher? Among the more disturbing discoveries was a preserved figure, thought to be one of Khan's trusted generals or perhaps a spiritual leader. The body showed signs of advanced preservation, more advanced than mummification, and was entombed in a sealed container filled with an oily substance. Autopsy reports noted that the internal organs showed minimal decay, and the man's eyes had been covered with discs etched in runes. Some archaeologists speculated these were symbolic tokens to shield the soul during its passage, while others considered whether they served some forgotten technological function. Adding further intrigue, a separate vault held a large circular object, partially embedded in stone, with markings that shimmered when exposed to ultraviolet light. At first dismissed as decorative, further analysis revealed that the object's surface structure operated like a data storage medium. Its patterns echoed those found in optical discs, but on an entirely different scale. Could this be a message left behind, encoded by a civilization far older or more advanced than previously assumed? Amid these discoveries, debate raged in Mongolia. Traditionalists and shamans warned of dire consequences. According to oral legends, disturbing the tomb would awaken forces better left undisturbed. Prophecies foretold of natural disasters, political upheaval, and widespread unrest if the Khan's sleep was interrupted. Some pointed to sudden weather anomalies in the region, unexpected snowfalls, strange animal migrations, and increased seismic activity, as signs that the old spirits were displeased. Meanwhile, Mongolian youth and modernists saw the discovery as an opportunity to place their nation at the center of a new historical renaissance, one that combined heritage with scientific advancement. Global reaction mirrored this division. Media outlets sensationalized the find, dubbing it the Mongol Roswell or the Pharaoh of the Steppes, while academic journals urged restraint and deeper peer-reviewed investigation. Countries with historical ties to the Mongol Empire, Russia, China, Kazakhstan, issued public statements expressing interest in collaborating on preservation efforts, and in some cases subtly hinting at a claim to shared heritage. The United Nations UNESCO body began preliminary talks with Mongolia about declaring the site a protected cultural zone. And yet, despite the wonder and global engagement, some artifacts uncovered raised unsettling ethical dilemmas. A number of tools and ornaments featured motifs not seen in Mongolian art, symbolic forms more closely aligned with Sumerian or even Mayan styles. This raised the unthinkable question: could there have been contact, even distant cultural exchange, between the Mongols and ancient civilizations separated by oceans and millennia? This question fractured established historical models and invited interdisciplinary teams from around the world to re-examine long-standing assumptions about human migration, ancient knowledge, and global connectivity. One particularly eerie finding was a series of small statues carved from an unknown black stone, each depicting a humanoid figure with elongated skulls, narrow eyes, and angular limbs. Radiocarbon dating proved inconclusive. The artifacts resisted thermal decay and emitted low-frequency vibrations. Some researchers proposed they were ceremonial, others posited they could be mythic representations, while a minority entertained theories bordering on the extraterrestrial. Regardless of interpretation, their presence among otherwise culturally Mongolian artifacts introduced yet another wrinkle in the already complex narrative of Genghis Khan's final resting place. DNA analysis resumed with greater urgency. When researchers expanded their sequencing efforts, they found not only unfamiliar genetic markers but also anomalous sequences that bore no match to any known species, human or otherwise. Some chalked this up to contamination or degradation over centuries. But others, notably geneticists from Europe and Japan, argued that these sequences bore repeating motifs, structured, deliberate, and possibly artificial in origin. This led to wild speculation. Was Genghis Khan, or at least his lineage, part of a genetic experiment? Was his rise to power due in part to biological differences, enhanced cognition, stamina, resistance to disease, that gave him a distinct advantage over his contemporaries? Meanwhile, anthropologists began to reinterpret historical accounts through the lens of the tomb's revelations. Khan's military tactics, his speed, his ruthlessness, his ability to dominate such vast territories, were now considered not merely products of genius but possibly of unseen influence. Religious scholars reopened discussions about Tengrism, the Mongol spiritual tradition, pondering whether it encoded deeper, hidden truths passed down through shamanic rites. Could Genghis Khan have been the vessel for an ancient knowledge? Was his tomb a message for future generations, only now being uncovered because we had finally developed the tools to understand it? As the project entered its second year, the challenges multiplied. Preservation of the tomb became a top priority. Airflow was carefully regulated. Climate-controlled domes were constructed over key excavation points. Artifacts were catalogued and, where possible, restored using both traditional and experimental methods. All the while, the global public followed every update with breathless anticipation. Documentaries, podcasts, museum exhibitions, and even Hollywood productions leapt into development, all eager to tell the story of the tomb that changed history. And change history it did. School curriculums began